Today we're going to talk about the film Longlegs. Now, this film came out probably about 2-3 weeks ago. I personally don't remember, but it stars Micah Monroe, who you might remember was in the film It Follows. It stars Nicolas Cage as our antagonist known as Longlegs, and it is directed by Osgood Perkins. Now, one of the first things that I read of a review of this film was that the film emanates evil itself, and it very much feels that way. This film is incredibly unsettling from the opener, which has a very brave approach of showing us Longlegs in the very first opening minutes of the film. And the thing about Longlegs is Longlegs isn't really disturbing per se visually. I would say that it more or less plays on a lot of what the theme plays on in this film, which is Silence of the Lambs. And I found that there is a lot of scenes that really replicate that, and there's even, shots that they use that are very much taken from that film as an homage, and I really loved that, because Silence of the Lambs is a very good film. However, it shouldn't detract from the fact that this is not Silence of the Lambs. This is its own story, and I would say that Nicolas Cage very, very much plays a disturbing character very well. I felt that his character is disturbing, again, not visually, I would say more or less, well, visually in a different statement, I would say that visually it's disturbing based off of his mannerisms, his characteristics, and even just his overall presence on screen. And I would say that our protagonist is also a very good character, because you can very much infer that she is probably on the spectrum, just because of the fact that she's very much dissociated, and even how she, speaks to other characters, you can kind of just infer that she doesn't have social cues as well as everybody else. And, of course, as the story progresses, we kind of understand, a little bit more about her. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about this movie is how cold it is. Like, the movie makes you feel like you're waiting for a jump scare to happen, and yet it doesn't. And that is something that I really appreciated a lot about this movie. Now, some people who saw the movie will tell you that it feels boring and feels like it's blah blah blah, it drags. It does not. It does not overstay its welcome. It very much is a film that is meant to be watched, but it's meant to be appreciated for how much work and how much time they put into the story. But then again, how you feel about the movie is how you feel about the movie, so I can't really say, well, you're wrong, because you're not. It's an opinion. That's why that's why opinions matter, but also just, you enjoy what you enjoy. I enjoy what I enjoy. I enjoyed the movie. But, the thing that I really appreciated is the fact that even the establishing shots, they feel like they are extremely devoid of life. Like, they're so silent. Like, the movie is very silent, and there's very minimal dialogue. There's very minimal stuff going on screen. Like, it's like you're also on the investigation, and even when a character opens up a door or opens up a room and stuff, it reminded me a lot of playing like Silent Hill or like Resident Evil, because of the fact that, like, you can hear the door creak when it opens, and it's just dark. It's just darkness, and it'll be in the middle of the freaking day. Like, and even, like, there are shots where it's a POV of the character going inside of a room, and, you're expecting, okay, something's gonna pop out, something's gonna jump out at me, and it's gonna make me, jump out of my seat. But it doesn't happen. And I thought that that was a very, very good approach for this movie, because of the fact that it it serves for a rewatch. And yes, there are scenes, or there's at least a scene or two where you have your typical jump scare. But the thing is, it's not schlocky. It's not. It's very much earned. And I would probably say only one jump scare got me, and it got this guy in the theater. This guy was like a couple rows down from me. He literally was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" Like, I was like, "Yeah, I feel that. I feel you, buddy. I feel you," because I was not expecting it, and I love when movies do that. I'm not a huge fan of horror all the time because of the fact that I find jump scares to be cheap, and I had taken courses on and stuff like that, where we had guest speakers and stuff like that come in, and they explained how some of the stuff works. And I'm sorry, but jump scares are very cheap, and they're supposed to be. It's a cheap scare, and I just don't like that all the time, especially because of the fact that horror wasn't always like that. And this film reminded me a lot of the horror of old, where the story tells a reality that we could live in, or have lived in. And the setting takes place in 1995, and the only way you can kind of infer some of this stuff is just because even though the rooms are devoid of life all the time, there's just very minimal detail that kind of help establish, like, oh, this is the year, this is this, and that really, really helps push the movie forward too, because of the fact that the time period helps carry the theme of what's going on from beginning to the end. And I think one of the things that I greatly appreciated a lot about this is the fact that there's like no music in this movie. So when you do have a jump scare, there's no foreboding music playing that's like dun 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 dun. None of that. It is just like so unsettling. And there are shots in this movie, like the plot device, which I won't spoil what the plot device is, but there is a focus on the plot device, and there is a camera shot focused on that plot device for so freaking long while the characters are talking around this plot device, and you are just staring at it, just waiting for it to move, for it to do something, and it doesn't. And that, to me, is a great way to make people feel scared, because you're expecting something to happen, but it doesn't. And I felt like that's what that movie made me feel throughout the entire movie, is I'm gonna get scared out of my socks, like I'm gonna really just, oh Jesus, like that guy down below from me, And I also just, like I said, I really enjoyed how cold everything felt. Like, the story takes place in Oregon, and it just feels so cold from the visuals. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but like, you do have some flashing visuals, so if you are a person who suffers from epilepsy or anything like that, flashing images, be very mindful of that, because there are that in this film, but they're just kind of, I don't really know how to describe what they are, but be very, very mindful that it does have that in this film. And I give that warning because I do have friends who do have epilepsy, and I know that there are people who do watch stuff, we gotta think about them too. And yeah, I really can't recommend this film enough. I gave it 3.5 stars, and the reason I did that is just because I was very enthralled from the beginning to the end of this movie. And I know that some people might say, well, I didn't feel that way, like I felt like it was boring or whatever, and it has a lot to say about your attention span. Like, it really does. Like, if you are like, well, I needed to do this, I needed to do that, then you might not appreciate this movie for what it is. And I think that that's a very big problem, and I agree with, a guest speaker that I one time had, who used to write for the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and he said, like, attention spans have become so very, like you're expecting everything to be quick paced and everything to be right there, right now, because you're not gonna get that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I hope you guys go see this movie. I mean, like I said, a lot of people put a lot of work into this, and this isn't like one of your really big, high-budget movies. It's very much like an indie production. I mean, it's by Neon, so yeah. And I know my friend said, "Oh well, I figured out the plot twist because of the because of the cast list, whatever." Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Just enjoy it. Don't even think about any of that. And yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. This is probably